Hey, what's going on, guys? Yodomono here. Sorry I haven't been uploading lately. Had a bunch of step family stuff I had to take care of. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers. You don't need to know my whole life story. But I've been doing a lot of commissions lately. Thought I'll do a little art video for you guys, since I don't have time to be editing video game videos. So today we're just gonna be doing some tips and tricks on line arting, which is I think something that a lot of people struggle with. So personally for me, I like to use a pen that has a little bit of opacity to it. So you see, like if I use the pen in a bigger size, it kind of trails off, and depending on the pressure I put on it, it's light. But when it's small, you can't really see that lightness, but it makes it real easy to kind of hide your mistakes. So I'm not sure what the brush density of this pen specifically is 100, but you can always get away with, like, if you go to a different pen, let's say your default pen, you see how there's no opacity to this, but there's a lot of if I just decrease the opacity just a bit, maybe like 98, now it has a little bit of opacity where it's a little bit easier to get away with mistakes. The character, by the way, is Megumin from Konosuba. If you're not really into anime, I would highly recommend Konosuba as like a starter. It's a good comedy. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. But another thing to do is, right now I have all my sketch all in one folder. So there's like 3 different layers here. So I have it all in one folder, and I brought the opacity down for that folder. So now everything in that folder has lower opacity. So now that this folder's selected, I can change the size of everything in that folder. So I'm gonna make it as big as I can, because the bigger you start off with, the smaller the details will be, which means looking from afar, if you make any mistakes, there's not as many that you can see. Before I start line arting, I'm gonna check to make sure that the sketch is what I want. So so what I did there was I flipped the screen, or I flipped the canvas. So everything up here is fine, but if you look down here, even though she's at an angle, I guess this isn't really a line art tutorial, just more like some mistakes that you can make, or how to make your life easier. So if the midline of her body is right there, right, it's very this side heavy. Like, you see how much space there is on this side compared to this side. Like, even if I just draw a body here, it's still not as bad as this. So an easy fix that we can do, let's get rid of that. Since everything is on layer, we can just select half her body, make sure folder is selected, and then just kind of move it. And now it's up to you if you now that we move that, the sketch is off a bit, but when we flip, it still looks good on this side. So you want to constantly be flipping your drawing to make sure it's as even as you can get. So this looks good, but now my sketch is kind of messed up. So it's up to you if you want to go back and just make a simple change to you know, just even things up like this. The pen that I use for line arting is also the pen that I use for sketching, which makes it really easy. But the difference is when you sketch, you can use it bigger. The bigger it is, the you know, the more you can get away with. I mean, the more obvious it is that there's opacity to it. But the smaller it is, like if I actually started line arting this. So now that I fixed that up, if we start line arting, right? Okay, we're gonna leave that little mistake there. So you saw that that's very quick what I just did, but when we zoom out and then we turn this off, that doesn't look too bad. Like, it's not that obvious that, you know, how quick and easy that was. And then, of course, when you color, so the thing with when you're line arting, depending on what your end game is for what you're going to be doing, you want to take that into consideration when line arting something. So with this one, I plan to paint it, but with something like just a flat color, you want to kind of give more life to your line art. And something I don't see a lot of people talk about in tutorial videos is it's okay if you don't, like, you see a lot of people alt tabbing or Control Z to get rid of your mistakes. But I found it easier if, like, I get the line to where I kind of want it to be, to just go in with a hard eraser. So the hard eraser is, even though the circle, the eraser itself does not take the entirety of the circle. It has pressure sensitivity just like a pen would. So Control Z all this way. So my dark pencil is big, and when you're line arting with a small or with an opacity brush, the smaller the brush is, so this is a size 12 compared to the 20 that we just had, you have a little bit more leeway with your brush. And so, like, something that I would want dark, like in the sketch right here, I can do this thin and then this dark, but then I can always go back and fill this in, so I don't have to get like the perfect stroke the first time. And you see how with an opacity brush, I can just connect these lines and it doesn't look too bad. Well, since I'm zoomed in, it kind of looks bad, but when I zoom out and I turn off the sketch, it's not as noticeable as if I were to use a full. And then again, you can always go and erase to make it a little cleaner. Then with something like eyes, you can either do it the quick and easy way. So it really depends on like your own style. That's why I never really wanted to make a tutorial video, just because I think as an artist it's good to find your own way of doing things. But this isn't really a tutorial video, more like a tips and tricks video. So you can either do it that way, where I just kind of like just filled in the eye itself, or this takes a little while, but you can get cleaner of what you want. You kind of line art the eye, or the eyelashes rather. and then you go to your fill tool, your bucket tool, and fill it in. But the thing with that, even though it's cleaner, as you can see, it's something you have to keep in mind when you're line arting, is your bucket and your selection tool can only grab so much, which means that you're gonna have these little spots like here where it didn't grab, and like when you zoom out you won't really notice, but that's just something to keep in mind. A benefit to doing it this way would be that, like, if I erase all this, if you do it if you do it with more thought into it, you can get it where, like, especially if you use a little bigger pen, so this is the size 30 compared to the 20, and then I'm switching sizes to this is a 17, so you can kind of get like, oh, this is a, I wonder why I was acting weird. So that was a G pen. I didn't switch to my, this is my opacity brush again, where you can kind of make it look more organic instead of just filled in, where you kind of have these, like, it looks like strokes. Again, that's all artist preference, but that's just something that I like. And then to line art the eye, you can see that I have some weight in there, but I'm gonna just kind of eyeball it. And one last thing I want to talk about before ending this video is line weight, which is really important in my opinion when it comes to line art work. So with this drawing in particular, I plan to kind of give it my regular painting magic, but like with something that's more simplistic, like if I drew Kirby, you kind of want Kirby to be, I'm just drawing Kirby from like the top of my head. I'm not sure how accurate this is. So you kind of want Kirby to be, or something more simplistic, to not have as many details. And for the size of this drawing, the lines are pretty thick, whereas this, compared to like the size of the drawing, my lines are a little thinner. And then with certain areas, I'm gonna actually shade in. So this is a trick I got from or something I picked up while learning, or tried to pick up drawing like manga where there's no colors. But right here, if I just line this in real quick, all that right there can be so if I get my fill tool, I can just line that in, go back to my line arting brush, and then clean it up a bit. But if you don't plan to really color your line art, I mean like your illustration, doing something like that can really add just depth to the drawing. Different fluctuations in line weight, like I did here. So it's going from thin to thick, and with the opacity brush, partial opacity to full opacity. So I hope these tips and tricks for line arting kind of helped you out. If you want more art videos like this, let me know in the comment section down below. Give this video a like, and if this video gets 10, no, that's too much. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll do a full-blown coloring tutorial for you. If not, I can do like a tips and tricks for 100 likes. All right. Stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.